So tonight I'm speaking to Adam Ganczakowski, who is a social and political sciences undergraduate at York University. So Adam, my first question is, why is the issue of Brexit so important to you?
To be honest with you, I wasn't that politically inclined. I didn't really focus on the news, I didn't focus on current affairs until I got to sixth form and I got the opportunity to take government and politics. And I decided this could be an interesting degree. It's something that I knew around me. People had taken, family members, friends, all the rest of it. So I decided to take it and I started to get a little bit more politically engaged. And by the time the 2016 referendum rolled around, I was in my second year of study. I hadn't really formulated any particular stance. No dogma had been sort of, ingrained in me by that time. And I genuinely thought that this is the first opportunity I get as an individual to let my voice be heard, to give an answer to a massive question, which of course at the time was very, very important, it still is. And I thought, this is the opportunity. I can take a stance and I can actually focus on the arguments that are presented to me at face value. And I can do it without having a political inclination. So I looked at the arguments. I looked at the arguments for Remain. I looked at the arguments for Leave. And eventually I decided that Britain was better outside the EU, given everything that I'd looked at, everything that I'd studied. And I really did get quite into it. As I say, I was doing politics at the time, so I was doing it as sort of an academic, taking an academic approach. Anyway, I decided to leave, and I suppose the one thing that encourages me most about Brexit is the concept of democracy. As an individual who got their first ever vote, got an opportunity to really make a change, I didn't get a chance to see that enacted. I didn't get a chance to see anything change, and we're still in the same sort of gridlock position that we've always been in. And as someone who believes in democracy, who's raised on those principles, who's raised on the understanding of consent of loss, and when you lose something, you pick up the pieces and you try again, or you move on, whichever the situation entails, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I got an opportunity to vote once, and I haven't seen anything changed. I haven't seen the democracy enacted, or at least my views, my vote put to the fore. So I suppose fundamentally then, it upsets me, it annoys me, and it really is something that's genuinely terrible for our democracy if we don't see this through. If we don't, to coin a phrase, get Brexit done.
So on Thursday, you're going to have your third opportunity to vote, this time in a general election. Why is it important to you to vote for the Brexit Party?
So for me, it's fascinating. It's a really interesting party to follow. And I wasn't so sure about voting for them in the first place. But what's clear to me as a result of how things have changed and how they've developed is that Boris Johnson has sort of fluffed a deal up in a sense which is similar to Theresa May's deal in a lot of ways. I've heard the phrase that it's 95% the same. In this particular deal, Boris Johnson has chosen to still be accountable to the ECJ, the European Court of Justice, which means, of course, we are still accountable to EU law, which for me is a fundamental no-no. I can't stand it. I can't do it for that. I cannot vote for Boris Johnson or his deal in this particular case. And as a result, it doesn't work for me. This is why the only credible party I can see myself voting for on Thursday is the Brexit Party. Because of course, they're the only party that really wants to push forward Brexit, really wants to try and actually get it in one home run. And they'll, of course, if they get any MPs, yes, we can all agree they won't get a majority, but if they get any MPs, they'll hold Boris Johnson and the Tories, and of course Labour, to account, depending on who's in power. They'll do their best. They'll have some very strong-minded individuals from all walks of life who are clearly just as fiery about this as me.